Welcome to Attic Raiders Retro Reviews, where today we've come to the frozen Antarctic in order to check out a fun fish flinging game. Today we're going to be looking at Chilly Silly Penguins. Chilly Silly Penguins was released by Waddingtons in 1994 and is a 2 to 4 player game for ages 5 and up. It's a motorized game and actually comes with ever-ready batteries inside the box, just like the previous ever-ready battery promotion that Waddingtons did when they brought out Runaway Roller in 1990. Chilly Silly Penguins is a motorized game of skill and action where you have to catapult discs to try and knock your opponent's penguins off of the iceberg. It's a really simple game that can be played by very young children. It's very easy, very quick to learn, very quick to play. Once it's set up, this game will only take you round about 3 to 5 minutes to play. It's very short. But the reason it's very short is because it is very fast and frenzied. You're going to be flinging fish all over the place and working really quickly to try and make sure that you can knock your opponent's penguins off the iceberg before they knock all of yours off. The catapulting itself works really well, but as well as that, you've also got the motorized action of the polar bear spinning around, who's going to be helping to knock those penguins off. And that gives it a really nice extra bit of flavour. As you can see from the box art, this game is aimed at quite young children. You can see it's very cartoony in the way that the artwork has been painted. We've got really nice bold colours here, and I do love this yellow border which contrasts really nicely with the blue background that the polar bear and the penguins are up against. The back of the box has got a little bit of information, a contents list, and a nice big photo that shows you exactly what you're getting in this game. With, of course, the quintessential 90s child models wearing the single coloured plain tops which were so prevalent on vintage games. This is a really light children's game. There's not a lot to it, but let's take a look. The game comes with 16 penguins, 4 green, 4 yellow, 4 blue and 4 red, and these are just quite simple plastic shapes. They're kind of hollow, almost like thimbles really, and you've just got a decal of the penguins' features stuck onto the front there. We have 4 of these boat-shaped disc launchers, and they come in the colours which match the penguins, so that each player has got their own boat. And these are quite sturdy. They're a nice thick plastic. The wheel on here is going to be used for launching fish discs. It's really quite a strong catapult actually. The only thing to check is that there is no crack on this bend here, because that's where you're going to get your spring mechanism from. There are 36 of these double-sided cardboard fish discs, but although there are 36, you don't need to have all of them in order to play the game. So if you're missing some of them, then you're still going to be able to play this okay. We've got quite a large, exceptionally friendly looking polar bear who is nice and light, made from a hollow plastic which has got a hole in the bottom here so that he can connect onto the board, and he's going to move around swiping fish at the penguins to try to knock them off. The sculpt on this is very basic. There's not a lot of detail, just a couple of bits for hair, but very basic, most of the detail here being stickers that have been applied. And we've got our game board, which is made from a combination of thick quality plastic and thick quality cardboard. This is a motorized game board, so it has an on-off switch here, and then on the bottom underneath you've got your battery compartment here. This game takes C-type batteries, and that battery just drives a motor in here which turns this spindle, which was going to turn our polar bear around. This game board has also got 4 points here where your boats are going to connect to on here, and we've got these round circle spaces around the outside of the board where our penguins are going to start the game. To set up the game, the boat launchers are connected to the pegs around the outside of the board. The penguins are then going to be set up on the circles around the outside of the board, with each colour of penguin being set up in front of that player's ship. So the red penguins are going to be set up in front of the red ship, the yellow penguins in front of the yellow ship, and so on. Now you can see that each ship has got a slight crack in the ice on the game board in front of it. So when you're setting up the penguins, you're going to set up 2 penguins on one side of the ice crack and 2 penguins on the other side of it. The hole on the underside of the polar bear is then going to be placed over the top of the spindle in place, and each player is going to be given an equal number of fish discs. When the game begins, players will be able to take their fish discs, load them onto the wheel of their boat, and then turn or angle their boat so that when they pull back the wheel, they can fire the fish disc with accuracy where they want it to go. The object of the game then is extremely simple. All you're trying to do is launch your fish discs at your opponents to knock them off of the iceberg. Now you can do that either by very accurately hitting a penguin with your disc, or by landing your fish disc on the ice float near to your opponent's penguins, so that when the polar bear spins round, it's going to push that disc and hopefully knock one of them off. So once everything's set up and everybody knows what to do, you can start the game by flipping on the switch. The polar bear will move, and then you can start letting those fish fly. So as you can see, this is a really simple game that's easy to learn and easy to play, but it's really, really good fun. It's very quick. It will probably take you almost as long to set it up as it will take to play, but you will find yourself probably having a couple of games before you put the box away. Now, it's obviously designed for children, but as you can see there, it's quite good fun for adults as well if you're young at heart. As far as the components go, this game is really well made. A lot of people don't like motorized games, but this is one of the quieter ones which I have actually come across. It's not going to make this horrendous droning noise that some games like Octobuzzy will have you suffering. Strictly speaking, the motorized element of the polar bear moving around isn't really needed. You could just use purely the catapult nature of the ships with the wheels. But having that kind of coin-operated arcade-style game which would push coins over shelves, I really like that. It adds an extra element to it where there's a bit of chance and uncertainty, but you can also use some skill in order to get those fish discs into the right place to get the opponent's penguins pushed off the shelf. Now, the good thing with these ship-based catapults is that they are really, really strong and really powerful. Now, one of the things that means is that you can't just pull it right down and let go and hit a penguin. If you pull the ship's wheel all the way down and release it in order to fling a disc that way, it's going to go flying across the game board and completely miss everything. So there is definitely an element of skill involved here, because you're going to have to pull down to just the right point and also swivel that boat in order to aim it, in order to be able to knock your opponent's penguins off. So there is definitely an element of dexterity needed for this. It's not just simply blindly firing. Now, of course, we could criticise it for the fact that the polar bear and the penguins shouldn't be anywhere together in the same game at all. Penguins, of course, being from the Antarctic and polar bears being from the Arctic. Normally, never the twain should meet. But in this version of this game, it does really go together nicely as a theme, and most children are not going to go away with a poor educational experience learning something that is wrong. We're not really going to hold that against it. Another bonus of the ship's catapult design is that it doesn't have to use any elastic bands. It's purely the springiness of the plastic which is being used here. So there's no snapped elastic bands. You're not going to have to replace them all the time. And in a game like this, any elastic bands from 25 years ago would have to be replaced anyway. So all in all, this is a somewhat childish but really fun experience. If you can find this one, I would recommend it for your gaming table. It definitely seems to be one of the rarer Waddingtons games, and it can be advertised sometimes for around about £30, but if you keep a lookout, you should be able to find it much cheaper than that eventually. Well, that's it for this week. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, please consider subscribing, giving us a like, and dropping a comment down below. Till next time, where there'll be plenty more vintage games, this is Attic Raiders Retro Reviews.